100% agree. She is that good. She is not, I'm not putting male and female in separate parts here. In terms of a professional wrestling machine, she is incredible. She can do it all. She can do the personality part, but once you get in the ring with her, she's a total wrestling machine. She's better than her father was.
Ric Flair recently made a statement saying that his daughter, now this is something else that I found interesting. His daughter, he says, Charlotte Flair, is better than John Cena and Cody Rhodes, that she is the greatest female wrestler of all time, and she may be the best wrestler in the business right now. Forget about Cena and Rhodes, he said. She's that good. Bill, your thoughts?
100% agree. She is that good. She is not, I'm not putting male and female in separate parts here. In terms of a professional wrestling machine, she is incredible. She can do it all. She can do the personality part, but once you get in the ring with her, she's a total wrestling machine. She's better than her father was.
Teddy, do you think she is better than John Cena and Cody Rhodes?
Well, everybody has their own opinion, and that was his opinion, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
Well, we're going to go through this show quick today.
No, you gotta really look at this where you can't compare her to John Cena or Cody Rhodes because they're different personalities, different style of wrestling.
I agree with that. I'm just telling you what Ric Flair said.
No, that's okay. I'm not arguing with the Nature Boy. What I am saying is that when I look at as many great female wrestlers are out there, she is the cream of the crop. She is the best. Period. The end.
All right. Let's see what she does in WrestleMania too. Baron Corbin was talking about WWE recently, and he mentioned that Triple H praised him for reinventing himself, and then he was fired.
Well, the reinvention didn't work.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. How many times have we seen Baron Corbin go through different gimmicks? Just none of them ever seemed to work. Teddy, what do you think the issue was with Baron Corbin?
Like you say, that everything they gave him, it didn't work. That's the issue. If it's not working, then they're not going to keep on putting you out on that TV if you're not doing nothing. You know what I mean? So everything he did didn't work. I don't know whether they wrote the right stuff for him or whether they gave him the right character. I just really don't know. And then sometimes it could be the individual himself. It might have could have been Baron Corbin.
True. Bill, do you think that?
Well, no, I think it was because of his ancestry. They never forgave Baron Miguel Cicluna for using a foreign object.
Who knows? What are you talking about?
Baron Cicluna. Related long lost.
This is the time machine, and we went back about 3 centuries.
No, I think Baron Corbin, I interviewed him many times, and he's a really, really great guy, but he didn't have, with all the gimmicks that they gave him, he didn't have that major star quality that caught on.
Yeah, I think that one of Corbin's problems was no matter how great of a talent he could be, he didn't have what we talk about every so often, that it factor. Fans just couldn't connect to Baron Corbin for whatever reason. It just didn't click. No matter how many times they tried, it just didn't work. He did mention that someone backstage he feels led to his release. So I guess he doesn't feel responsible for being let go.
Do neither of you remember Baron Cicluna?
No, what year was that?
Oh my God! Back in the 70s, he was in the 60s, he was one of the greatest bad guys in WWE.
Oh, well, that's the problem right there.
Then?
Yeah, what's that?
It wasn't WWE then.
No, it was WWF.
Okay, the Von Erichs.
No, McMahon Senior, Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
Okay. But I remember in Dallas, the Von Erichs were WWW2. They had the 3 Ws.
They were WC World Class Championship Wrestling. Yes.
Yeah, WCCW. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember when I first started hearing about all these different organizations out there, because they were, when you grew up in the South, you grew up with NWA and Jim Crockett. That's what you knew. And then you knew WCW. I didn't know of WWF and all all the other guys out there. I really didn't. The only things I knew of were what I saw on TV.
Well, that's why you didn't know about Baron Mikel Cicluna.
That's what my point. I did. That's why I don't know.
Well,
about
at
him.
that time, you know, you was dancing at the male strip club. You didn't know to have any time for wrestling.
No, I couldn't have been doing that. I still wasn't even born at the time Bill's talking about.
Kayfabe.
For the first time, matches are going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and the first one will be Bret Hart versus Stone Cold in the match where Stone Cold passed out with blood just streaming down his face. Bill, what do you think about inducting matches into the Hall of Fame?
Great idea. Why not? Why not? They do it in boxing, I think. They do it in UFC. But I can tell you something from what I've heard firsthand, that I know Bret Hart has been talking about it on the internet. Stone Cold Steve Austin is reluctant to talk about it for some reason. I don't know what it is, but he has been quoted as just saying, I want to keep quiet on this one.
I do know, I saw today, Bill, and maybe it's just that it came out today, but I did see an interview where he talked about the match and how much he enjoyed that match.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that he's on board and everything's going to be just fine.
Oh, yeah.
He did mention that he thought his rivalry with The Rock may have been a better match. Was it 17, WrestleMania 17, I think, or one of those things. But he was saying he thought maybe that match was better, but this one was just right on top with the rest of them too.
He did mention in that interview that there was something about it that he really didn't want to go into detail about.
Oh, yes. He did say that. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah. Matches in the Hall of Fame, Teddy. Look, a lot of cynical people and people, they don't have to be cynical, really. First of all, there is no real Hall of Fame. There is no building that houses these things. So the matches going in, is this just another kind of imaginary thing that they put out there, you know, to go into this imaginary Hall of Fame?
Well, I think it's just something that they brought and added to WrestleMania. Okay, and then also that's going to make money too. Okay.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm don't count this out. WWE is probably getting ready to open up a Hall of Fame, and I guarantee you these things will be definitely in that Hall of Fame.
This is one thing, Bill, that drives me crazy when it comes to the Hall of Fame. You get this brand new building, WWE headquarters, which is huge from what everything is shown on TV. Could they not have dedicated a floor of that building to build a Hall of Fame right there?
In the corporate headquarters, probably originally, and I don't know if either of you know this, I got a call from Vince that they were going to take over and buy the Debbie Reynolds Hotel in Las Vegas. It never worked out, and they wanted to hire me as the curator of that museum. So I worked freelance getting things for the WWF Hall of Fame for about a year. J.J. Dillon and Vince McMahon hired me on a retainer to do that. And I got them a lot of the good stuff that you see back from the 60s, like Buddy Rogers boots. I helped them get that. So they were going to do that, but then they were going to do it in New York at the WWE restaurant, but that never took off.
I still would think, go ahead, Teddy.
If my memory serves me right, I believe that they had opened up something in San Antonio, Texas. Not San Antonio, I'm sorry. Where's Taker from? Austin, Texas. Because I remember we was in Austin, Texas, and they took me to this building, and it was like a Hall of Fame. They had a bunch of WWF merchandise and stuff in there. But I remember that. I'm telling you.
I never heard of that.
Well, it certainly happened. It was in Austin, Texas.
Right.
I still say that there needs to be a real physical Hall of Fame, because it's a shame that so much of the WWE Hall of Fame that a lot of fans truly believe in and honor a lot of those items that we're talking about. They want to be able to go and visit that place.
They do bring it to WWE World. For example, in Las Vegas, a lot of that memorabilia is going to be there on display. But I get it. Yeah, someplace like in New York or Los Angeles or somewhere to put in an actual Hall of Fame.
Yep.